In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro accused the United States of violating the 1967 Tlatelolco Treaty, which declared Latin America and the Caribbean nuclear weapons-free zones. The head of state warned the international community about Washington's aggressive actions and said they undermine the peace of Latin America and the Caribbean. Maduro also affirmed that Venezuela will not accept any supremacist attitude from anyone nor any interference in the region. The head of state praised the international solidarity with Venezuela and highlighted in contrast the isolation of the U.S. government's aggressive policy.
Venezuela, aquí en Sudamérica, territorio de paz.
Venezuela, here in South America, a land of peace, and with great goals with Africa, Europe, Eurasia, Asia, etc. Venezuela is a country admired in the world, loved in the world, not only by governments, which are showing an impressive example of solidarity toward us, especially now after Venezuela was threatened with a nuclear submarine, violating the Tlatelolco Treaty, which prohibits the mobilization, use, and manufacture of nuclear weapons in Latin America and the Caribbean. Venezuela is receiving an impressive example of global solidarity.
Let's review what the Tlatelolco Treaty is about. It stands as one of the most pioneering peace and disarmament agreements globally, signed in 1967 in Mexico City, and this treaty declares all of Latin America and the Caribbean a nuclear weapons-free zone. Its fundamental objective is to guarantee regional security by strictly prohibiting the development, acquisition, testing, storage, and possession of nuclear weapons in all countries of the region. It was decisively promoted by the Mexican ambassador and Nobel Peace Prize winner Alfonso Garcia Robles. The treaty not only strengthened peace and security in the region, but also served as an inspired model for the creation of other nuclear weapons-free zones around the world, consolidating Latin America's legacy as a continent of peace. In this context, Cuba has rejected the deployment of U.S. military ships in the Caribbean Sea, warning that it threatens regional peace. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez stated the United States' dispatch of additional military ships to the Caribbean poses a significant threat to regional peace and aims to reassert its dominance over our hemisphere under the pretext of combating drug trafficking. This move is driven by the agenda of corrupt politicians such as the Secretary of State. The Venezuelan Ministry of Defense announces the results of the operations of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces in response to U.S. aggressions against the country. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino highlighted the people's response to President Nicolás Maduro's call to arms in defense of the homeland. He also described the day as a success in the face of the media counter-revolution, which creates lies with the aim of making people believe that the country functions as a narco-state. Padrino Lopez emphasized that the country remains firm and is working to combat any aggression.
We saw this past weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, even with the haste and the short time we had to organize ourselves to respond to that call, that the people took to the streets with their smile, with their strength, with their testimonies, because it was not simply a matter of signing a form and saying, "Here I am, with my body, with my soul, with my mind, to defend the homeland." They also took to the streets to strongly reject, as you know, dear brothers, comrades, vice ministers, also the Inspector General of the Armed Forces who are here with me today. They came out to reject with firm determination.
And Venezuela's Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez described as false the media campaign against the Venezuelan people that seeks to destabilize the country.
And there, always, the counter-revolutionary media, making it look like the opposite. Always creating always walking in their lies, in their fake news, in their manipulations. It's absurd. It's like what the North American imperialism is trying to do to us. The people of Venezuela, trying to fabricate a lie that has very, very short legs, and impose a criminal narrative on us, and position it throughout the world, and even on the people of Venezuela, so that they will believe that this is how the state functions. The Venezuelan state does not function as a narco-state. How grotesque, how vulgar, and how far we are from such a situation. We have to say this with great humility, but it is the reality.
The Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro received credential letters from the new ambassadors of Belarus and Cambodia. The ceremonies took place at the Miraflores Palace in Caracas, marking the beginning of new representation terms of both diplomats in the Bolivarian nation. Belarus and Cambodia are both strategic partners of Venezuela, and the new diplomats reiterated their government's commitment to continue strengthening their bilateral relations with the South American country. And the Venezuelan president also received the credential letters from the new ambassadors from the Ivory Coast, the Mountain Alassane, Hungary, Daniel Sekchian, and Azerbaijan, Ruslan Oglu. All three nations have traditionally held relations with the Bolivarian nation based on the principles of respect, solidarity, and brotherhood. In this regard, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro thanked the representatives of the five nations for their government's cooperation with Venezuela.
We have been working on the entire diplomatic agenda, directly expressing our gratitude for all the cooperation with Venezuela, establishing joint work agendas for economic and commercial development, to bring investments in for human cultural approach